Lots of fringy two-star pitchers to discuss up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Friday, August 25th. I am Frank Samfel, joined by Scott White. And the schedule for Week 23, we've got 9 teams with 7 games. That includes the Nationals, Giants, Padres, Yankees, Dodgers, Tigers, Reds, Cubs, and Braves. 20 teams with 6 games next week, and 1 unlucky team with 5 games, the Tampa Bay Rays. As for the Rockies, they do have 6 home games in Coors Field, 3 against the Braves, and 3 against the Blue Jays. Starter sit these two-star pitchers. Jesus Luzardo coming off a great start. His previous 4 before that were very bad. He's facing the Tampa Bay Rays and at the Nationals next week.
Yeah, I think with those 2 starts right after he seemed to get back on track, pretty much have to start Luzardo. I know it's a little risky, but got to go for it.
Chris Sale, in 3 starts since returning, has a 5.14 ERA. He's facing the Astros and at the Royals next week.
Sort of a similar situation to Luzardo, where, Sale hasn't been lights out since returning from the IL, but there have been enough good signs. I know he got a ton of whiffs in his last start, and since one of the 2 matchups is against the Royals, strongly lean yes on him too.
Andrew Abbott has a 6.46 ERA and a 173 whip over his last 5 starts, and he's at the Giants and home against the Cubs.
Been shaky recently, but I think he's built up enough goodwill that with a 2-start week, still pretty close to automatic is Andrew Abbott.
All right, this is where the real fun begins. Charlie Morton and Bryce Elder. The matchups for next week at the Rockies and at the Dodgers. What do you think?
Tough matchups. The Colorado one, obviously, just because it is in Colorado. But Morton has been outstanding his past 2 starts, double-digit strikeouts in both. Walks have been way down. I think for the upside, for the sake of the upside, you got to go for it, even with those tough matchups. Maybe it'll be famous last words, and we'll never want to use them again after that. But I'm going to say yes to Charlie Morton. Elder, don't think the upside is nearly the same. I would leave him just for points leagues.
Bobby Miller is facing the D-backs and the Braves. Both are good against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, I think that's more of a points league play too. Unless you're specifically chasing counting stats, wins and strikeouts in a roto league, I would leave Bobby Miller for the points leagues.
John Gray is at the Mets and home against the Twins next week.
Good matchups. He's been really up and down lately. Another points league play.
Taijuan Walker at home against the Angels and at the Brewers.
If you're really stretching into the points league, you could go for him, but I'd rather not.
What about Alex Cobb at home against the Reds and at the Padres?
Nah, he's been too shaky.
All right, all the 2-star pitchers. Let's take a look at your sleeper pitchers for next week. You've got 4 2-starters here and 6 single-start streamers.
So these guys are right at 80% rostership on CBS, but I think you got to go for it. I just want to point out that Tarek Skubal is facing the Yankees and at the White Sox, 2 really good matchups. Kenta Maeda, who's been a little shaky lately, but has been good overall this year. He gets the Guardians and at the Rangers. So in shallower leagues or platforms other than CBS where they might be more available, definitely look into those 2, Skubal and Maeda. I also like Seth Lugo, who we've talked about a lot in recent weeks. He's at St. Louis and against the Giants. Much further down the list here, we have Brian Wu, who's going against the Athletics and at the Mets. I do think the 1-start streamers are more interesting this week, most notably Cole Ragans, who we didn't get a chance to talk about on the FBT and 5 podcast Wednesday. He had an 11 strikeout game against the Athletics. 4 games with 8 strikeouts or more and 5 since being recalled by the Royals, 2 of them 11 strikeouts. So he's been a different pitcher, having introduced this slider and the fastball. He was hitting 101 in that start against the Athletics. Ragans would be, I think, an advisable start no matter who he's facing, but he gets the Pirates. Also this week, Gavin Williams at the Twins. He's been shaky lately, but the Twins are historically strikeout prone against righties, historically bad at that. Chase Silseth at the Athletics. Dean Kramer and Kyle Gibson, a couple random number generators with good matchups going against the Royals, and then also Kyle Hendricks against the Brewers.
All right, let's quickly run through the hitters here. The best matchups for next week. We have the Padres, Tigers, Mariners, Blue Jays, and Pirates. The worst hitter matchups, Rays, Twins, Guardians, Nationals, and the Giants. With that being said, your favorite sleeper hitters for week 23.
Number one by far is Kerry Carpenter, who's been on fire in August. Tigers have the second best hitter matchups, and all of their games are against righties. So, yeah, definitely want to get Kerry Carpenter in the lineup. Nolan Jones with the Rockies having nothing but home games, I think, is a very good play. So is Charlie Blackmon. You look at his home away splits, still basically a stud at home. He recently returned from the ILs, worth using. Zach Geloff and Yainer Diaz, just because they're so hot right now, I think you stick with them. I like Christian Encarnacion Strand this week. The Reds have good matchups, and Joey Votto's out on the IL, so that should increase his at-bats. Orlando Arcia, his numbers are so good against lefties, 344 with an 1126 OPS this year, and the Braves are facing 4 lefties in their 7 games. And finally, Wilyer Abreu, recent call-up for the Red Sox, who got 4 hits in a start Thursday. He's been hitting the ball very hard since being promoted, and the Red Sox are scheduled to face nothing but righties, just like the Tigers, this upcoming week. Wilyer Abreu being a left-handed batter. That should ensure he sticks in the lineup.
For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.